Hello Libra, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Libra is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. We've got a hanged man energy. You've been suffering and sacrificing. Okay? You have been seeing the world from this kind of upside down, low position. The hanged man is usually the one that kind of feels like you're at the bottom of the wheel of fortune, between the rubber and the road, getting kind of ground down by life. That we've been putting in the hard hours at something, okay? I think you're somebody who is kind of bending over backwards in service to something or someone. I think that you're kind of ready for that to end. Yeah. I think maybe we're starting to question if this is still worth it or not. Yeah. This is somebody who's really willing to give the shirt right off their backs. This is somebody that has surrendered. And it feels as if we're making sure that we're still holding the hand of the high priestess, right? Because the hanged man and the high priestess look very similar. They both have these outstretched hands. One seems to be upside down from the other one. Maybe we'll get the high priestess and I can show you. But the idea here is that I volunteered for this. I entered into this situation and I've offered myself, I've surrendered to the process, and I'm being transformed, I'm suffering, and I'm making sacrifices for it. But I was led here by spirit, by my intuition, by that high priestess. Like the high priestess led me here. Now I'm just looking around to make sure she hasn't abandoned me. Does that make sense? And so we need to put this card into some context. I would love to see the high priestess here, but it's okay if she's not around. I think that we still need to assess our situation and come to some sort of consensus within ourselves. Is this still worth the sacrifice? Well, there we've got the Ace of Pentacles, okay. Interesting. We have the Eight of Cups. We have a Prince of Pentacles. We have a Prince of Swords and another Prince, a Prince of Cups. Body, heart, and mind are fixed, right? Fixed earth, fixed air, fixed water energies. Yeah. Your heart, your mind, and your body are still sort of in this. Yeah, that's very interesting to me. Over here, over here we've got the Empress. Wow. See, the High Priestess is leading you through the suffering swamp to get to the Empress. What's right behind the High Priestess? High Priestess, card number 2. What's card number 3? Yeah, the Empress. I feel like you're just about to get rewarded for all of this. You're just about to be redeemed. You're about to cash in all that suffering. Here we have the Eight of Wands. We have the Eight of Pentacles, and we have a Queen of Swords, the Queen of Swords, looking back at this situation. And you know what I think she's kind of saying is yep, it was worth it. Kind of looking back and saying, yeah, I can see why that was a very, very necessary part of the path. I feel like you were chosen for something. And I feel like it's all about to be revealed to you. I think all of the All of the growth, all of the reward, all of the redemption that you've been looking for is at hand. Now, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We set it down right over here. Put our little sea turtle friend right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments down below, okay? Let's use our intuition. Now, as we look around the room, the only majors we see are the Hanged Man and the Empress. We are suffering and sacrificing, and it's for a reason. Because we believe in what we're doing, because there's a purpose here, there's a destiny here, because we know that it is it's something that is transforming us into who we need to become. It is transforming our lives. There's a purpose and a reason still, even if we kind of feel like the high priestess just dropped us off in some sort of some sort of a swampy situation here. Kind of dragged us through the briar patch. We went over the river and through the woods, and well, we're arriving at grandmother's house, but the high priestess is nowhere to be found. Okay, because this is a profoundly personal experience for you. Okay, this is something that you are having to go through in your life, and I think that you are being redeemed. I think that it's going to end, and you're going to be embracing your empress nature. That what you have sacrificed, this is all the emotions. This is like all the tears that you've shed for something has been watering the garden, right? All the blood, sweat, and tears, your physical, mental, and emotional sacrifices are now paying off because they've been for a singular purpose. I've never quite seen this before. This is interesting. I think everything changes tonight. I think this is the moment where you rise up out of this hangman position and you celebrate. Now you're doing a dance, right? The suffering hanged man is now the fire dancer, okay? Celebrating, doing a little dance here. I think that it's all proving to be worth it for you. So we have our two majors, anyway. We have a little bit of fire. We've got our water, we've got our air, and we've got our earth cards, okay? The battlefield position for you is this Ace of Pentacles. This is where our quest really lies, and I think that it is, in a way, seeing the gift that this has been, recognizing this path that you've been on. It's been a blessing. It's been a gift that we're very fortunate to be able to make these sacrifices and to recognize the rewards that we're receiving because of that. Okay, this is Spirit kind of offering you now a way out and saying, we can be done with that suffering now. Yeah, there's a doorway there that you can rise and you can sort of dust yourself off, clean yourself up, and you can accept the miracles now that you've created in your life. This is sort of a divine suffering. This is suffering for the sake of a higher purpose, and now this is the reward. Okay, I think that it's difficult for us to see this right now because we're upside down. It's because of the position that we're in. It's not easy for us to see how this has been all worth it. This has been a gift. This has been a blessing. Okay. I think it's difficult for us to see the shore. The Hanged Man is an intense water energy. Okay, it may be that we've been here for so long that maybe we're looking at that Ace of Pentacles, we're thinking, nah, is that real? Is that really the end of this suffering? Have I arrived? Okay. I think you've arrived. I think that you were chosen for this. You don't want to miss this opportunity to disembark from this suffering voyage, yeah. Down beneath the surface, you have your 8 of Cups. I think that you're in that sort of state of mind where we're almost too tired to even give up on the thing, you know. But I think that this is a card that's kind of saying, like, I want to walk away. That if there were no rewards to reap, I certainly would have walked away by now, right? And so we've chosen to believe that there is a purpose here. There is a divine purpose in this suffering. I'm not suffering for its own sake. That's the worst thing that we can imagine, is that all this suffering is not amounting to anything. No one would choose to suffer just for the sake of it. That this is suffering for a divine purpose. That we're willing to suffer for our spirituality, but it is not suffering that makes us spiritual. Don't fall into that trap. Because then we say, oh, the more I suffer, the more spiritual I am, right? No. Sometimes suffering is just needless. Okay? And I think that you've committed yourself to something knowing that it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult and rough, but I've volunteered for this. It's like you've put yourself down on the blacksmith's anvil. Okay? Sometimes it may feel that you're more Prometheus, you know, that you are being, you're being kind of strapped to the rock as a punishment. Okay, but we've volunteered. We've lied down on this anvil and we said, okay, I'm willing to go through whatever it takes to, to reach the goal. Whatever the goal is for you, doesn't really matter. The idea here is that now, like, Spirit's offering you the hand that's saying, okay, you're done. You can get up now. This suffering is over. Okay. But the 8 of Cups is that feeling that we're very close to just kind of to giving up. It almost feels hopeless. But I think that's kind of like the worst thing that we can imagine, is that I'm going to get up off this rock and it's all going to be a waste of time. That there was no purpose here. There was nothing on the other side of it. That I was just suffering for no reason, right? Maybe this is something at work, at home, at school, something you're putting yourself through, thinking there better be a good reason for this, because this is hard. This sucks. Okay. You're not the kind of person that would that feels like suffering for its own sake is somehow a spiritual act. But if we're suffering through some kind of spiritual test, or we are devoted to a higher purpose, and therefore I'm willing to suffer, I'm willing to make sacrifices of time, effort, energy, and money, I'm willing to sacrifice my body, heart, and mind for the sake of a higher purpose. So this is sort of creeping up from underneath you, but you're remaining steadfast. Fixed, fixed, fixed. You're not letting this change anything, right? As much as you may want to quit, as much as you feel like this is all pointless and worthless and hopeless suffering, you did not let yourself stop, okay? You kept going. And I think that you've passed the test. This lesson is complete. In the background, you have the Prince of Pentacles. This is where you've committed your body to something. In the physical realm, you said, okay, let me do this. It kind of feels like a boot camp. It feels like you joined the military. It feels like this was when you kind of signed the paperwork and you said, okay, like physically now I'm here. Okay, this is us physically getting involved in the practice or in the activity. Maybe this is some kind of physical training or physical exercise, or it's a sport, or it's a skill, or it's schoolwork, or this is the new job. You put yourself physically in that position. And you said, okay, I'm here. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it done. Physically, you've been tested, and you've remained steadfast. Mentally, you're being tested. The mental fortitude, the Prince of Swords, the fixed air energy. Mentally, you've been tested. Okay? Not just, do you know the answers to the question, and what is the answer to the math problem, x equals 42 or whatever. Your mental fortitude. Okay? So it feels like that's the part of the boot camp where it's the psychological testing, the psychological torture that is just like, the doubt that starts to creep in. Oh, this is all pointless. There is no reward on the other side. Oh my gosh, and our mind starts playing tricks on us, right? And so you had to remain steadfast through all of that doubt. I kind of feel like, are you a Navy SEAL? Like, really now? I mean, it feels like you are. It feels like this was the BUDS training or something, and like the psychological part of that is really what's at the very top of the frame here, right? That's the top of the list there in terms of the difficulty, was maintaining the mental fortitude. Maybe the physical stuff, the emotional stuff, whatever. That's hard, but you can deal with it. But this idea of like doubt creeping in that says, maybe this isn't going to work. Maybe there's nothing on the other side of this. Maybe this was a mistake, right? Maybe, God, I wonder what my friends are doing back home, The mind sort of goes to war with itself, yeah. But you stayed fixed and steadfast. Now, Spirit's showing me a very small photo. Like it's almost like like a passport photo. It's like a 1-by-1 little photo. I don't know if that is something that you keep on you on your person, or it's something that you've got I don't know if you've got it like stuck to your bed frame or something, like a little tiny picture, yeah. Anyway. This thing you're doing, this was your soul's idea. You were guided here by the High Priestess. And as we look around from this upside down hanged man position, you can't see the High Priestess anymore. She dropped you off and then she went and she's just having lunch somewhere in a nice comfortable place, okay? But nevertheless, you don't feel abandoned. You're kind of Odin on the tree right now, yeah? The willingness to sacrifice, knowing that true wisdom and knowledge and power comes with suffering and sacrifice. And that if it is worth it to you, you will endure. And you are enduring. The mental fortitude that it takes, you're a very mentally strong person. And I know that you don't always feel that way, but you are. Spirit's showing me an actual coin. You found a coin in a strange place. I don't know where. It's almost like, oh, here's a coin out of your ear. I feel like you found a coin in a really weird spot recently. Yeah. I don't know. In the future position, you have your authentic self. You have your Prince of Cups. And this is kind of like we've won our independence, like we fought for our authenticity. We fought for our true selves, that we've suffered and sacrificed for the sake of our own truth, in a way. Yeah. This is a card of kind of like living our life our own way and living that very authentic life, knowing who we are, knowing our truth and expressing our truth. Okay. In a way, it kind of feels like emotionally, this is like, feel like I'm honoring who I am. Yeah. That the suffering and the sacrifice might be the ego kind of getting out of the way so that our true self can really shine, really emerge. Okay. This is also the emotional fortitude that you've had to acquire to endure this. Okay. And I think that it was an emotional test for you as well. It may be that in your life on this path, you've lost loved ones, that you've had to give up things that you cherished. You've had to be separated from things that meant a lot to you. And yet you were willing to accept that and keep going. I wish I knew what you were doing, but I feel like this is a path with heart for you. Okay, this is something that is worth the sacrifices, and I think it's been getting harder to believe that, harder to acknowledge that or accept that and really trust in that. But you've trusted in the High Priestess to bring you here. Now you have to trust in yourself to remain here and finish this out. And I do feel as if you are coming to the conclusion of this. Let's talk about the path of the serpent. As we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Your general energy now is this empress. The empress is someone who is willing to bleed, sweat, and cry for the sake of something that it really cares about. The empress, this mother type of energy, knows all about self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice is to the point of their own diminishing, their own detriment sometimes. Doesn't really always know when to stop sacrificing. Yeah. So I think that this is the self-care, this is the healing comes after. This is you sampling the fruit and tasting the rewards, everything that you've had to go without, everything that you've had to sacrifice or give up or postpone or say goodbye to or be separated from. All of that is coming back to you. Okay. I think you've been chosen for this path, and I think that this was a real proving ground for you. And now the garden has been cultivated, and you're being offered the opportunity to just luxuriate in that garden, enjoy the garden, stroll through the gardens, knowing that you created it. To indulge, to eat the fruit of any tree you want, because it's your garden. You want an apple, just reach up and get one. You want them strawberries, they're yours. And I think sometimes it feels like we're dreaming. That's why I think we're looking at that Ace of Pentacles and we're thinking, this has got to be a dream, right? I'm dreaming that I'm just walking through the garden. Really, I'm still in that hangman position, right? You've been willing to feed something from your own energy. And now that process is reaching a conclusion, and you're able to enjoy the fruits of your labors. This is a miracle. Yeah. It is a miracle that through your fortification and commitment, you are manifesting that miracle. Okay. And I think it's time for the next phase to begin. When you come down from, this Odin hanging from the tree energy, when you come down from that position, what exactly are you doing? Where are you going? You're going to move your physical body again. This was physical movement, the suspension of physical movement. Okay? You haven't moved anywhere. You've been in this place or this position or this circumstance or this particular phase of life. There's been really no outward movement, but there is now. Now it's time to start moving again. Meaning we're getting down out of this position and we're kind of, we're letting the blood return to our legs, and then we're going to move on. We're moving forward from here. Okay? Fixed, and fixed. Your body, heart, and mind were here in this position. This isn't inactivity. This is intense internal activity. May not be a lot of physical movements. It's boot camp, or there's a lot of physical movements at boot camp, right? I'm sure. I've never been, but I've seen the movies and heard the stories. I've had friends I had a friend in the Army, friend in the Air Force. A couple of friends in the Air Force, actually. A lot of physical movements, yeah. But this is a situation in which we feel like this is where I am for now. Until somebody tells me otherwise, this is where I got to stay. You're now being told it's time to move on. You're being transferred, okay? This fixed energy now is starting to move. And the thing about the Eight of Wands, it's kind of telling you can go anywhere you want now. You're free to choose your own adventure, choose your own destination. You've made it through boot camp or buds or training or whatever it is, and now you get to choose where you want to be stationed. I don't know if this is literally the case or not. I hope I'm not offending any of our service personnel. You have my deepest respect. I feel like this is now almost like we've earned the freedom to kind of choose where we want to go from here. Maybe this was all for a particular, degree or certificate program or something, right? You suffered through school and all the training, and now it's like, okay, now you can go work anywhere. You've made it. You were stuck in that university. You got you made it. You got the diploma. It kind of looks like a rolled up diploma, you know, a scroll. And now it's like the world's yours. Now you could go anywhere you want. This is that card of, like, you know, to me, being able to choose where we want to. It's like any point of it's the compass rose, right? At any point on the map. I think now you get to choose what's coming next for you. And I think this is how you're seeing the world in a way too. You're seeing the world as, well, a lot of possibilities, right? We have the 8 of Cups, 8 of Wands, 8 of Pentacles. Okay, 8, 8, and 8. And to me, that's the number of karma. You know, that's saying that, look, everything that has been sent out is now coming back. Yeah, everything that your heart had to go without is going to come back. All your lack of movement, your inability to make decisions for yourself, the lack of creativity, the lack of autonomy or agency or authority, that's coming back to you. This is a situation where somebody else was telling you what to do. You know, the drill sergeant telling you what to do. Now you get to be in control of your life. This was something taking things away from you that your heart wanted. That's coming back to you. You're being given, you know, and everything physically. All your financial investments, all the money that you've had to put into this, that's all coming back to you. It's the 8, it's the boomerang. Yeah, it's the boomerang. Because as difficult as it got, you stayed steadfast and fixed. Fixed, fixed, fixed. The 8 of Pentacles is the physical healing, the physical restoration, the financial restitution. Okay, coming back to you. You've given up your autonomy, you've given up your heart, you've given up something physical. It's coming back to you. Right, so the 8 of Wands is you getting your own agency back, your own autonomy back. Maybe this was, you did your 2 years of service, now you are sort of free to go where you will. And physically, as well as spiritually. This is a card of growth, this is a card of patience. It was getting very hard for you to remain patient and steadfast and fixed. That's why the 8 of Pentacles is in the position of the difficulty. Getting very hard for you to continue. So it's kind of like, it's a very good thing that this is over now, because your patience was growing thin. The Queen of Swords at the end, this is looking back objectively at the situation. The Queens are always processing and ending. Yeah, that's what the Queens do. They look back and they're kind of processing the way something ended and what it meant to them, how they feel about it, etc. This is looking back at the ending and thinking, that was all worth it. There was all a reason for everything. That at the time, while I'm suffering in that hanged man position, I might be thinking, why? What's the purpose of me going through this? Why do I have to do this? How is this going to be good for me? Then, after the fact, we look back and we say, oh yeah, I can see why I had to go through that and that and that. I had to see why I had to lose that in order to gain this, and it all makes sense to me now. In hindsight, I can see the logic behind it. If this is your boot camp or your college training or your whatever kind of training or practice, when we're in the thick of it, we just say, God, I hate it. Why am I here? This is all pointless suffering. It's all meaningless. It's all ridiculous. But then after the fact, we look at it and we say, I understand why it happened that way. I understand why the professors, the teachers, or the drill sergeants, I know why they had to put me through that. I know why Spirit had to put me through it. I know why the high priestess led me to the briar patch and told me to sit there for however long. I get it. I get it now. You know. Let's look at our mystery card, shall we? I believe in miracles. I want this to be the Wheel of Fortune, or an Ace of Cups, a 3 of Cups, a 6 of Cups, a 9 or 10 of Cups. I want it to be some water energy. Yeah. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. The 7 of Swords, indeed. Seven of Swords is a card of distraction. Seven of Swords is a card of not believing that the grass was greener on the other side. So I feel like this is kind of what got you through this. One, I think that you're able to use your own mind in order to like pass the time, you know, that we're able to, in some ways, take ourselves out of our body or heart, or take ourselves out of the present moment, take ourselves mentally out of that suffering, and you know, in a way, sort of put yourself in the happy place. You know, imagine yourself at the beach and you're just the waves and it's warm and it feels good, right? That kind of mental distraction. We're able to distract ourselves from the difficult thing we're enduring, just, you know, by our own mental fortitude. So I think, again, the mental part of it was really tough for you. I think that this is also, you know, that we tried not to let ourselves fall into the trap of believing that some other path would have been better for us, that the grass would have been greener on the other side somewhere, or falling into the trap of believing that believing that I'm being punished for something, or believing that I deserve this this punishment and this is unique to me. It's kind of in a way like realizing that anything worthwhile is gonna require this to a greater or lesser degree, and not falling into any of those mental traps that would have led us to giving up, quitting, walking away. So again, the mental fortitude, the Seven of Swords, to help us avoid the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups would be walking away. This is not good for me. This is pointless. I'm out of here. And then you see walking away from that. But you were able to stay steadfast through whatever sort of mental gymnastics, mental jujitsu you needed to do to wrestle with yourself. Even if it's just like, you know, sometimes when you're doing something that's really grueling and enduring. I used to try to do my asana, my meditation, my posture, sitting posture, when I first started meditating, and I'd try to sit for an hour, and my back started getting all cramped, and my legs would get cramped, and I'd be so just sweating and tense and like ready to just quit and give up. I was trying to reach an hour, trying to build up willpower and discipline. And so at some point I just started counting numbers. I started counting by 2s and 4s, and I started reciting old poetry that I would know. I just kept myself busy mentally to distract myself from like listening to the clock tick, 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 as it feels like time will just go on forever, right? And if you entertain yourself mentally, if you put yourself somewhere else, you give yourself a mental task, it'll make time go by a little bit faster, you know? And that thing will be over. That suffering will be over, right? So I feel that's kind of what's going on with your Seven of Swords here. That it's saying the way you are getting through this, or will get through this, or have gotten through this, is by distracting yourself from feeling every single second that clicks by on the clock. Tick, tick, tick. Okay? That we're occupying our mind with other things, so that time will pass more quickly. It's to maintain that mental fortitude. Okay? I think this is interesting, very interesting reading. Now, because this is a bonus reading, we're going to go straight into the extended reading, okay? So don't go anywhere. You'll see how we do it for the extendeds here. If you want to join the channel, so you have access to all of the extended readings, there is a link in the corner, and there's a link down below. New readings for Libra, usually on Wednesdays and Saturdays. This is a bonus. Be sure to watch both of your other readings, okay? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you are watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we are all in this together. Now, please don't go anywhere. I just need to wet my whistle a little bit. I'm drinking cold matcha today. It's delicious. Anyway, we're going to do our extended reading. We'll do some I Ching hexagram. We'll do oracle cards, tarot cards. We're going to leave this stuff here on the table so we can see how the energy develops and what details come through, okay? your hexagram today is hexagram 62, trying to maintain a particular balance. Okay, 62. Small excess. Above the mountain there is thunder, small excess. The noble one, in behavior, will exceed in courtesy, in loss will exceed in sorrow, in work will exceed in economy. Okay, basically, that's the Hanged Man, bending over backwards. Exceeding in courtesy, sorrow, and economy. Meaning, in body, heart, and mind. Right? Exceeding in sorrow, exceeding in economy, and exceeding in courtesy. Okay? The interpersonal relationships, sacrificing. Right? Always kind of, being in that Hanged Man position on all planes, except for the spiritual plane. Okay? We only have the body, the heart, and the mind. We don't have a Prince of Wands here, do we? Small success, or small excess will lead to success. It's worthwhile to persevere. Appropriate for small affairs, but not appropriate for big affairs. The flying bird leaves behind its message. If not fit to ascend, then fit to descend. Okay? So it's kind of saying, like, if you're not capable of this, if you're not cut out for this, don't bother. Go home. Quit now. Okay? Be extra humble, extra mournful, and extra thrifty. You can have success in small things, but not big things. By avoiding overextending yourself and instead staying grounded, great things will come. Thunder from the mountain. Err on the side of caution, but still try not to err by much. Respect for the powers that be permits appropriate achievement. Excess is not a healthy long-term objective for finite and vulnerable beings. The excess, not healthy for the long term. This suffering cannot be endured forever. This is the means to the end right now. It's not the end. Okay, so you may even be starting to believe or have already kind of dealt with this issue of like feeling that this suffering will never end. But it will, and it's just kind of like this is a run out the clock situation. You kind of, ground your flights of fancy, bend over backwards to be correct. Hanged Man. To aim high now would be to put ourselves out of accord with the times, signifies the slight excess or small mistake that can prevent achievement. Adapt yourself to these inner and outer events. This is humility, conscientiousness. Okay. We're not trying to aim high now, we're trying to just exist and deal and endure where we are. It may feel like you're at the bottom of the wheel, between the rubber and the road. And that's kind of like we just have to deal with wherever we are right now and endure what we're enduring and just stay fixed and stay steadfast. Okay? It may be like now is just the time of like trying to endure, trying to get through this situation. I think this hexagram is right on point. Let's do an angel number as a mystery card. We'll do an oracle of empowerment. The power of yang. I am in control of my future. I am a person who takes action with intention. I endure difficulty and strength, knowing the result of perseverance is success. Like the sun, I radiate confidence as success is pulled into my orbit. I will be victorious based on my merit, not the whims of chance. So we have that power of yang inside of us, even though what we have is a very submissive hanged man, right? So it's kind of like you're yielding and sacrificing and suffering physically, mentally, and emotionally, but spiritually, the power of yang, right? That ace of wands kind of energy, that is still staying very strong and very assertive and very in control and very powerful. So we may be suffering in every other sense, but not spiritually. Spiritually strong, even while mentally, emotionally, and physically kind of in this suffering hanged man, very yin, very submissive position. So that's very interesting to have that. that power of yang inside of you. It's not letting you give up, not letting you quit, not letting you truly surrender your will. While you may be surrendering and sacrificing other things, you're not sacrificing your willpower. You're using that willpower to endure this, you see. So let's do an oracle of the radiant sun. The isolation. May be feeling the physical isolation. Okay, that could be very literal. That we feel like we are, we're having to endure this in solitude, or it's a kind of a quiet suffering or silent suffering where nobody can really suffer it for us. And so, sometimes we are isolated in that, or it can seem that way, right? Let's do an oracle of creativity. The counsel. Seek out the counsel of those whose lives and creative work you admire most. Maybe that's what the Seven of Swords is also kind of doing. It's like, maybe we're reading about stories from other people who have suffered greatly for something that they cared about. We're finding inspiration through hearing the stories of other people, connecting with other people, and sort of relating and to realize that we're not in it alone. I may be feeling isolated, may be physically isolated, but there have been many that have suffered the same way we have suffered, and they've endured, and I can endure too. So we're taking inspiration from the stories of others. Yeah. Let's do an oracle of Metatron. Fire, the dragon strength. That's beautiful. That then is, the power of yang. The dragon is the kind of ultimate yang energy. So this is that willpower that is enduring. This is something that is very much worth the cost. Okay? And it may be that it's developing in you such a tremendous willpower that you can move mountains. Let's do the path of the serpent with the Hermetic Tarot. And dragon strength. That's some intense yang energy. Here's a Three of Cups. There's the abundance. There is the success, the joy, the jubilation, the gratitude, the love, right? The recognition, the appreciation. This is like we're popping the champagne bottles, right? Everything that we've sacrificed is coming back to us now. And we have the Empress there too. Yeah, very interesting. There's the King of Wands. There's the fixed fire energy. The biggest obstacle was to maintain the inner willpower, to maintain that inner power of yang, to maintain the fire inside of you, even though outside was all yin, was all suffering and sacrifice, but your willpower never gave up. And then we have the Five of Wands. You understand why you had to go through this fight. You understand what it did to you, what it created in you, and who it transformed you into going through this situation. Okay, maybe it let you know what you're truly capable of in life. It activated this fire, this dragon strength in you. Let's look at our angel number, mystery card 2222, the feminine forces. Relationships, balance, prosperity, efficiency, patience, and humility. You can do everything by yourself, but life is to be shared. Partner up with the right spirit and you'll become a force. Honor commitments and people around, don't judge, listen. Becoming a force. I think that's just it right here. You're becoming a force. This is something that you endured because of what it transformed you into. And it gave you some sort of power or skill or ability or training, or so you've earned some kind of diploma or something, or graduated, right? And you've earned this energy, this force. You've earned your dragon strength by going through this period of suffering and sacrifice. And now what you do with that dragon strength is really up to you, right? Anyway, very powerful stuff here. I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you greatly. I love you deeply. And I can't wait to see you again very soon.